All right. So regarding this whole thing, I think one of the things that got me very excited about it when initially I was asked to be brought on board was to me an idea is great, and a great idea is even better. Uh, uh, but the issue with in Lubavitch is that there's no shortage of good ideas. But not only in Lubavitch, in the whole world, it's about the ability to execute on these good ideas, which usually means having the money to do so, and B, the right person who can execute on it. And so I wasn't going to be as excited about a wonderful idea unless I really got a sense that there are these other two elements, that there is the potential for the money to get this done, as well as the person who can get this done. Obviously, this is separate and apart from the spiritual elements, which is the bracha of the Rebbe, etc. But in other words, in terms of the Kelim Gashmi, what got me excited about this idea was that I heard that there was some significant chevra that were willing to potentially put some serious money behind this, and it uh, you also Zaltzman, among others, have balabatim that have very serious financial ability and also strong interest in this project. That was number one. But number two was, is there the people to really see this project through? To that or know how to take a great idea and a vision and actually make it happen. When I heard from the beginning that there was this fellow named Ran Asulin who was part of the discussions on this, and then I did a little bit of research into who this Ran Asulin was. I started to get excited because this is a person who I personally have seen his work. And unknowingly, I don't know if anybody's been to Eretz Yisrael. Recently, made a point of doing a little bit of the touring thing, but in by the Kaisel, there are a couple different experiences, exhibits, attractions, tourist sites, whatever you want to call them. Namely, you have, I think, most famously the tunnel tours, the Minarot Kotel. You have something called the Ir David. You have to the around the bend of the Kaisel, what's the southern excavations, this is the Davidson Center, and a few other such locations. And some of them are significantly better than others. In my opinion, for example, the Kotel tunnels are overly hyped. Obviously, it's the fact that you get to walk along the castle for the entire length of the wall. It's also the one the entrance to it is right there at the castle, so that's why it gets so much attention. There's other reasons. It has a very interesting 3D model of the Harabayas that comes up, and different pieces of it kind of change, whatever it is. It gives you the history. So that's a little interesting. They try to make sure that the tour guides are interesting. And then, but for the most part, you're just walking along the castle and you're experiencing the excavation. Uh, in terms of actual things that you have, things to see, exhibits, or rather excavations, the southern excavations to me are significantly more fascinating because you actually walk on a road that was in the Zman of Harabais. You see mikvahs from Harabais with little walls on the stairwell going up and down to separate between those that are going down Tameh, those that are coming up Tahir. You see places, nooks and crannies where they would sell the animals for the kabbanis. It's fascinating. It's all there, and it's miserably presented. It's dead. Nobody's there. There's some unbelievable artifacts and whatever it is, and it is because whoever was given responsibility to presenting this to the public did a horrible job. It's called the Davidson Center. Not to speak lashon hara, but it's terribly for what they have there in terms of content. They do a miserable job on the presentation. Then there's Ir David, which is to me was the high watermark. beautiful done, a tremendous amount of unbelievable excavations, and also incredibly well presented, engaging for kids, for adults, with lights and technology and presentations and marketing. Was always very impressed. So to me, the Ir David was the high water mark. Kotel tunnels, and then the southern excavations at the bottom in terms of presenting. Recently, I went and somebody says you have to try this thing called Chain of Generations. I said, what's there? What kind of excavations? It's not really an excavation. It's just that they're part of like in the portfolio of things that you can do at the case. So there, if you go up the stairs, take the elevator, whatever it is, you go to this place called Channel Generations, and it's a very interesting exhibit, etc. I said, okay, look, Pile Mamish was my main motivation at that time was that it was the cheapest thing, the cheapest ticket to buy for ourselves and the kids, and that's always a big selling point. So we did it, and because we had already done the Kotel tunnels once in the Ir David, we did already the day before. So we said, let's go do this. Fine. I was blown away by what was done there. It's small. It's like they had only a certain amount of space, but they told a story and were mamchish a concept more than they were presenting things that already existed, excavations, and presented it nicely. They took ideas and using technology and presentation, they really created a very moving experience, which is the walking through the generations, a connection to this place, to Harabayas, and all throughout the generation from Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to Shlomo Melech, to Churban Bayis, and whatever it is, with these different things, these narratives, and different ways of presenting things that really told an unbelievable story. Like they had big glass pillars with by the obvious they start growing, and then by you go into the next room and it's the days of Shlomo Melech, and the pillars have reached all the way up. Like it's like Kaim Masiyah, Musa, these glass pillars that represent, in a sense, I guess, Yiddishkeit or Yidden or whatever it is. And then they go into for example, the Churban, and the glass pillars are shattered. And there are different things, like they try to say how to a certain degree it's our job to carry this forward. Like one of the places you're in this thing and you see a pit, and they say stick out your hands. You stand in a certain place and you stick out your hands, and project. You don't know this, but projected from the ceilings are Yiddish Nemen, are Jewish names projected. So when you stick out your hands, all of a sudden in your hands you're holding certain the names of certain of Jewish names, and they said that you have the responsibility to carry these neshamas in your hands, to take them forward. Just like a brilliant little thing that somebody came up with this idea, these different things that is almost it's a genius of a genius in presentation. I came out of there, I was very, very impressed. Turns then was who did this one? Ran Asuli, this guy. This is the guy. And since then, Moreshet HaKotel, whatever it is, Laman Moreshet HaKotel, that organization, has given him other nooks and crannies around the Kaisel to make things out of, to create attractions, exhibits, places, experiences that people can go. So that they had an idea, instead of having all these like empty nooks and crannies around the Kaisel, half excavated sites or whatever it is, that are just sitting collected in dust, they're creating kind of a full featured, as many like different little experiences that you can have. And their go-to guy is this Rana Sulin. When we sat down in a meeting with him just now, he's fully on board. He has great ideas for this place. He's speaking, and he says he wants people to go through this. The school experience, not to go in as tourists, not to even go in as immersive participants, not even immersive participants. Says he wants people to go in and understand their partners in this, in this thing, to come out and understand their place in the story, their place in the trajectory, and that so that each stage of the experience builds on this on the thing before. There's a connective tissue taking you all the way through from one thing to another. The people should, in the way he was using language, it says AI and VR. This is already katanale. It says this is all old stuff already. It's already everywhere. You want to be doing things that we have to be doing things that any person you did not see coming go, wow. and so you started sharing with us some ideas of cameras that as you're looking at a screen, there's a camera recording your face and superimposes your face onto the screen as in real time. So all of a sudden, you're not looking at something; you're looking at you, and whatever it is, and things of that. So like he's like steps ahead of us. Besides for that, um, he has an understanding. He's done this before. He's shepherded projects like this all the way through. He says in the beginning, you don't need a 40 page or $1 million presentation with to impress people. The first thing you need is, in order to get the seed money to make more money, but you need to go to your chief people, the guys that really believe in this project. They just need to see that you're serious, that you have a vision, and they can read from from just like 7, 8 pages of a narrative and a timeline. They know how to, their business mind, their whatever it is. These people have a note to fill in the blanks. You don't need to give them the full glossy colored thing like that. They need to see. So he says you spend the right amount of money and the right amount of time to present the 7, 8 pages of a prospectus to real key donors. Then you bring those key donors on, then you can kind of go shooting out of the gate. But what's important is that you've created the branding, you've created the timeline, you've given the skeleton of the project, et cetera, so that they can now fill in the blanks. So this man is really on the ball. He's very excited about the project. He thinks he appreciates the unique, one of a kind nature of this, that this is not about something that was, but there's something that will be, and that'll be one of a kind anywhere in the world. And he also understands the potential of marketing this, getting Jews of all stripes on board, as well as evangelical Christians, Lahavdil, and other, et cetera, and as well as, and that's currently, as I said, he's part of the government right now, in part of the culture ministry in Israel. So all these things he's definitely the right person, and he's enthusiastically engaged. He's right now working on the prospectus as well as the branding for this thing. I asked him point blank, as a matter of, let's say, all with the, no ego battles, but let's speak straight to the thing. I said, are you the right person to do our branding? I say, branding in Israel is oftentimes a different style than branding in the United States, and primarily we have to brand it in the United States. He says, 100% agree, but there's also, when you're dealing, if you have to create branding for a universal, for an international company, then you have to really find the universal language, the universal style that can really go and be adapted in any particular place. He says we've done stuff for Teva Pharmaceuticals, right? Teva Pharmaceuticals is the largest generic drug brand in the world, obviously out of Israel, but they're marketing in every country and every first world country in the world. And it says, so we have that ability, we have that scope and that expertise to find the marketing that will work anywhere, find that language, that correct feeling, etc. It says number one. It says, but my question number two was that the other ones we were thinking about is, let's say, is Spotlight Design, the largest one for Chabad. And they also do international marketing, but they also happen to have the advantage of their being Chabadniks. And I said, can you speak to that a little bit? Do you feel like you can? He says, listen, ultimately, why don't you let them produce something, an idea? I'll produce, and if you want to go with them, by all means. He has no ego about these things. He knows his value. He knows his worth. He's not posturing. He really is entirely the kind of guy that we would have, if we had to tailor make somebody, this would have been it. Now, what is the next step? Is we marry him, and this is willing to hear ideas with the chevra that can help with the Teichen committee, as it were. And this is what he wants. He says, well, I can take an idea and run with it and figure out how to be mamchish. What has to happen is I need to know exactly what the teichen is, and for this, the names that come up that are Mitzvah we're going to be trying to engage is like a Simon Jacobson, Ari Shishler, Tzvi Freeman, people that A, know the Teichen, B, have a sense of how to how to crystallize it and capture it in a way that it can be to help the person who's then going to create the physical space. So this is currently where we're holding. In the next week or and a half, Emir Hashem, to 2 weeks, we should have something definitive that we can A, take to Kibalabat, and B, already establishes the thrust of the marketing campaign. And so yeah, that's more or less the update.
Yeah. Send me a quick question. Is Afro
He's like one of those Israelis that um he I don't know if he wears a yarmulke, but he would not be against wearing a yarmulke. He only would doesn't wear a yarmulke because he's in Israel. You know, his level, his Ramah of Yiddishkeit would have him wearing a yarmulke here in the United States. He would be like a kippah sruga type. And why? Because I just by M, it's out the Eibishter, a gleim. You know, I can see it clearly. When you go and you see the most recent project he did was something called Shar Hashamayim, that he did at the Kaisel also. Shar Shamayim is the idea that this is the place. The Kaisel, it's portraying the Kaisel as the place that every single person can come and daven to Hashem, you know, and the Shar Shamayim, and there's various things he does over there. One of the things that he does really very compellingly at this Shah Shemayim. He was just showing us a little clips and images of it, and you can Google it. If you, by the way, if you want to Google stuff, it's all out there. I'm saying you don't have to get his marketing stuff. At this point, the latest two things, both this chain of generations and Gate of Heaven, are Shasheret Hadorot and Shar Hashamayim, are things that have their own websites. You can see them and clips of their experiences. You know, Shar Shamayim is another. They gave him like a tiny little space over there, and they told him to do something with it. And his idea was to speak to the fact that the Kesels were people from all demographics, all walks of life, all ages, all levels of religiosity can come and connect with the Eibishter. You know, so he has a hologram. Literally creates a hologram. The room is basically a big, massive hologram. You come in and Shlomo HaMelech is talking to you about as he's built the base of Migdash, as this is Shar Shamayim, and then there's another moment where the video is like from between in the cracks between stones of the Kaisel. So the Kaisel is looking out. It's like your perspective is not looking into the Kaisel. You're in the Kaisel looking out. You're the Kaisel looking outward, and all the people that are coming to talk, not to talk, to daven, and the faces that walk up to this crack in the stone. And the show, you know, a soldier, a chasmit langa payas, a little kid, you know, everybody coming up to this it's just he has this chush of telling the story in a very powerful way, and so it touches him, it moves him, these things, and so I would say
by the way, I just wanted to ask you something. Hold on, I'm sorry, Sandy, if I can just chime in over here.
Sure.
We're gonna have, I think one of the main points here is that people have to know that they are in Golus, and then they go out of their Golus. Now, it's just to show, might be a point just to show maybe one thing, how a person should realize that he's in the Golus, and he has to get out of it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the...
No. So understand that his nekuda, his main nekuda is for you to understand that the Gula, it's yours to make happen.
Right. So I'm saying a person has to know that it's exactly my point, because a person has to first know that he's in this type of Y.Y. Jacobson was giving a shit. He was saying, like, for example, if someone grew up in an eggshell, an egg, you know, like a chick, you know, and everything surrounding is all white, and he thinks this is the whole world. Verstehst? I'm just, I don't know if
you know the story about the Rebbe visited camp, and there was a broken door. They didn't have time to fix it, So somebody wrote that
Right,
it's
Zeichel L'Churban.
Zeichel
No, I heard worse than that. They took one one bunkhouse. Obviously, they cleaned it up as best as possible. It was like Lebanon, the biggest. What do they call Friday inspection? What do they call it? Erev Shabbos bedside inspection.
Bedside inspection.
This was the bedside inspection of all bedside inspections. Obviously, so was tut man a bedside inspection? You find the closet and you dump everything into it. So the whole camp took one bunkhouse, reingeworfen alts, push it alts into this one thing. Just threw every broken mattress, every broken bed, reingeworfen. There was a big, massive hole in the ceiling, and on the whole,
I heard the story from the Tzin Metzger, Mordechai Metzger. He was there, so he told me.
So yeah.
So I think das ist schon zugewachsen, ein ganzer Boot. There was a door, the door was broken. There was a big hole, and there was no time to fix it. And they were hoping the Rebbe will not, Akitze, this is the door. But so somebody had this idea, wrote on it, Zeichel L'Churban. So the way I heard it from Metzger, the Rebbe said, Zeichel L'Churban, the B'churban darf na Zeichel Bezetachas, darf na Zeichel L'Bigdosh. That's the way I heard it. But anyway, yeah, but you're right. I mean, some people don't even realize us is
I'm saying it should be a little hint to it, at least they're going from Geula to Gula. You bring in the Aleph and the Geula. That's the whole word, no?
That's 100%. So let me give you a sense of like what we wrote would be the 5 stops along the way. The Sef right now, like the general idea would be five tachanot. So we wrote this in Hebrew. Not to say that this is what it's going to for sure be, but this is just like a skeleton, a shtickle, just so everybody can get a little excited. So we say it like as follows. Tachana number 1 will be called, Ha'olam, which is Briat Ha'olam Yesh Me'ayin, Kol Rega Mechadash. So the idea that you're watching, you'll experience Brias Ha'olam. The idea that the Eibusher give Vashaf in the Welt. Remind you, as Yesh the Beira Olam, which then creates, which will lead in a whole. I mean, obviously there'll be a whole experience. So like being, in the spherical chamber where the Bria Sa'ilam is happening all around you. It could be incredibly, unbelievable, whatever it is. But then that leads to the second step, which is the Hamisima, the mission, as it were, or whatever is Edgar, the challenge, right? Which is the Elam Mastira al Mitasev al Beiri, right? The Elam, the world hides on its origin, on its truth. And it's the person's job to reveal in Brias Elam the Beira, right? And that's on every single person to do with their own nitzuts of Moshiach within them, to balachen the Welt through each mitzvah. So the second one will be making it very clear that the entire effort, the entire thing that has to be the entire talich of whatever it is the role that we each play in uncovering and revealing to the world its inherent truth, the truth that was known at Bria Sa'ela. That the world that the Helam Hester is covered. The third will lead to the third space is Saf HaGeula, which I think is very important. How an entire exhibit or experience about how we're holding to show how we're holding at with everything that's going on. I know this is something that Mendy Rubenfeld is always into, right? But can't see his face right now. All I see is his name's in a black field. But that
he's right now in the Golas mode.
Right. But the point is that that how this is not, we're not just in another point in history, but we're mamish to make it clear to people with such anticipation that mahalt at we're on that 1 yard line, as it were, with everything that's going on in the world, to show that everything that's going on in the world and how this is really in the moment, to remind everybody what everybody deep down knows and feels right now, that this is Eiros L'Geula, that everybody feels is because it's Erev Shabbos noch Mittag, and Shein can sagen Shein in the 18 Minute. But either way, That's number three, to feel like we're right on the precipice. Number four would be haya'ad, the destination. You've arrived at your destination. That moment that we've been waiting since Bria Sa'elam.
Sandy, can I interrupt for a second? I presume, I guess that's what you meant, that we're up the feeling that we're getting there. I guess included is the realities that are happening, that these are already, as the Rebbe said, in part of the Geula.
Right.
The things that are happening.
Correct. No, in other words,
is there also, it's not just that we get into something, but we're living
it. We're living it. We have a time tasting
the process. We're in the process.
Living it, right.
Okay. Now, one more question.
The way I like this.
One more question. I'm sorry for interrupting. Is there mention over there that all these events that are happening, as the Rebbe said, that this is Moshiach's influence on the world, that Moshiach is doing that?
That's a whole Nakuda. The whole Nakuda is to reframe what you're seeing in the world as the Saf HaGeula. So that you instead of
not my question. My question is it showing the error, or is it showing that there is a Moshiach who brings this error? That this error is now a result of Moshiach's doing, which is what the Rebbe said.
I think this is ultimately, we're getting very specific. I think this is going to be things that are going, the Teichen committee, as it were, is going to, and things that this has to be brought up to them. What I'm saying is just to give a general framework of what the journey through this experience will be. So again, number one is to show the origin story and the truth of the circumstance, which is Bria Sa'elam Kol Rega Mechadash. The world is the Eibishter's, was beschaffen by the Eibishter, continues to be beschaffen by the Eibishter. But room number two is the situation that we've come to know Gullus, in the sense of that the world is, this truth is hidden, and it is on us to do. Number three is that where we are holding in the trajectory of history is not some middle point. We're there. And that itself is such an unbelievable, inspiring thing. It's so necessary to create a space to discuss that, to show that, so that people have an understanding, can walk out and look at the world that they're in with different eyes, and instead of being in a sense of despair and melancholy about everything that's going on, to embrace that sense of the imdu hachin kulchem. And then number four is the arrival. You have arrived. That rega that we have waited for. See the Shleimus Haveda, and that transition, that moment, the exciting transition of how we are, as the Rebbe would always say, that Golus is the Cholim, Hayinu Kechelmim is Golus, so that the Gula is instantaneously, just like when somebody wakes up from their sleep, they're instantaneously in an entirely new setting, and to give people that experience, that Berega Achad Mamish, we can be in an entirely different circumstance, and be in this state. And then obviously the last one will be included in number four would be the Hiskalos of Malkeinu Mashiachenu. What that experience would be like. Mashiach.
You got maybe excited.
I know. I saw that. Yeah. Malkeinu
Mashiach. Who got excited? What was his name? Did he get excited?
Label.
Yeah. And then and then last is Lichyes. The last one will be Lichyes. You might say Mashiach, just for those that are there to Pashut live in Geula with the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, with the Kiyum of all the Yehudim, with Teir Chadasha, Tchias HaMeisim, etc. What that would be, and you walk out with an understanding that this is what could be. Not this is what could be. This is what Emetz Hashem will be, and we're standing 1 second away from this, and it's up to us. If you walk away with those 3 points, this will be
the call to action. And the call to action
And the
comes in
call
the
to
end.
action, we can obviously
Yeah.
connect with the mitzvahs, with the opportunity to learn in Yanagul Mashiach, with whatever it is. At the end, kind of when you come back to the foyer, al derech, like in a lot of museums, they'll have the Holocaust Museum. After you've experienced it, of course, they have the call to action. What you can do and what you can be part of, lahavdil, so that the never again is a reality, and yada yada yada. Shman said I done.
Usually they have a big pushka at the end.
Exactly right. Right. Yeah. Correct.
Which is
So
part of
I
the Beis
think
Hamikdash.
ultimately,
In the Beis Hamikdash, there was a big box, a big pushka.
yeah, the what's it called, right?
Everybody's
Fakat, it should be overflowing. It should be overflowing the same way the one in the Beis Hamikdash was. But the ultimately, these could be tweaked or changed. But just to give you a sense of what could have what this could be. This could be the most unbelievable if we think about it, and they have the team, the right team doing this. This could be, it could not only, again, through the Geula, we're teaching them how to look at the reality right now, the Brias Olam, their place in it, the mission, how to look at what they're seeing around the world, like the Rebbe taught us how to, the way we should. But obviously, this will help only reinforce the Rebbe's status on this, the Rebbe's Iskuk on all these things. And then obviously, to the Tzipiyah Yeshua, after you experienced living the Geula in this kind of way, you come out of there, it's like, what? I'm going to be satisfied with Gullus after this? How can I be satisfied with going on with in my Gullistic 11? So if this is done right, and I believe this is the person to be done right, you get the Teichen right, we get the Lubavitchers on the Bali Teichen, and that's getting good, the Teres of the Rebbe, on all this. And you get a guy like Rana Sulin who knows how to take these ideas and make it come alive. It's this could be like a place like no other. The big concern on the table that anybody here, whatever it is, that is fakat, the more and more positive noise this thing makes, and maybe where's Rabbi Rubenfeld? After that, Vermachen, the recording. If not, we can't really talk about it.
Oh, okay. Mandy?
I think this is Mandy's figured a very polite way to bow out every once in a while.
Hold on. I have to text him a moment. Where is he? Mandy. Here he is. Oh, I can't tell him anything. I'll call him. Hold on.